TNA Wrestling crossed that line again, and my goodness me, what an impact we just witnessed just a few hours ago. It was also live on YouTube this week. For those of you that wasn't aware, it was broadcast simultaneously as well as the TNA Plus app, which you need to get download and subscribe to watch all your TNA action. Still lost for words after what I've just witnessed. One of the best shows TNA have put on this year for sure. But let's just crack on with it. It started with everybody saying his name, and he did appear. Joe Hendry started TNA, and he says it would have been easy for him, to pack his bags and leave after losing the TNA World Championship to Trick Williams, but he's not going to do that. And it was the crowd getting behind him that stopped him doing that, and he was talking about facing Randy Orton at WrestleMania. But the moral of this promo was Joe Hendry vowing to win back the TNA Heavyweight Championship at Slammiversary in just a few short weeks' time when he does go one-on-one. Well, potentially one-on-one with Trick Williams. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but Slammiversary on July 20th is when Joe Hendry gets his shot at Trick Williams. Does he win it back? I'm not so sure. I don't know. We know that obviously First Class had been getting involved in a lot of Joe Hendry stuff. Not Joe Hendry stuff, but getting involved with Trick Williams, sorry, and assisting Trick Williams winning the championship and winning and retaining those championships against Santana as well. So I question whether Joe Hendry's going to win it, but like I said before, they may not be the only man in that championship match. So we're going to have to wait and see. But Joe Hendry with this promo, it was just a solid way to kick off Impact. I mean, it really was just him, kind of, I'm not going to say going through the motions, but really getting the fans back on track a little bit, because maybe Joe Hendry wasn't believing in Joe Hendry, and the fans helped him believe again. But Joe Hendry will be going after that TNA World Championship at Slammiversary on the 20th of July. Now, Killer Kelly, on the other hand, she's got an opportunity for the Knockouts Championship, I believe, next week on Impact. And she was basically having a promo about how MK Ultra, which was her and Masha Slamovich, were unbreakable, but she is going to be having a close eye on the Knockouts Battle Royal, which we'll talk about in a bit, because the winner of that Knockouts Battle Royal will indeed get a shot at the Knockouts Championship. And the reason why she's going to have an eye on it is because she's going to be the Knockouts Champion. Interesting with this, because, the Knockouts Battle Royal, which we'll get to, like I said, we'll get an opportunity down the line at the Knockouts Gold. And Killer Kelly, I mean, if there's anyone that could beat Masha that knows her inside out, Killer Kelly is that person. So that'll be interesting to see if Killer Kelly will indeed grab the ball by the proverbial horns and beat Masha Slamovich. As I say, she knows her. She could be the one that could do it because she knows Masha very, very well. So an interesting thought going into next week on TNA Impact with Masha and Killer Kelly for the gold, but obviously with one eye open and one with a head on a swivel because of the winner of the Knockouts Battle Royal a bit later on today as well. Let's head off to the action. I tell you what a great way to start Impact. Zachary Wentz of the Rascals had Trey Miguel at ringside. Ryan Nemeth of the Nemeth brothers with, of course, Nick at ringside. You know what? This was a fun. It was a quick match. It was reasonably quick for the time on Impact, but a solid and fun way to start, nevertheless. And we don't see Zachary Wentz in singles action too often. But when we do, he absolutely delivers, and I loved it. I love seeing Zach in. He's a great champ. He's a great tag team, of course. Don't get me wrong. But I thought it was a great way to showcase his talents and get him in there, and because there's tag teams, you don't always get that opportunity to showcase too much because there's always about the tag in and everything else. But when it's one on one and it's just you really do get to show how good that you are. And Zachary Wentz absolutely done it. And Ryan's great as well, but I've seen him in a few one on ones over the course of time through various promotions as well. But Zachary, not so much. So this was a real treat for me. And it was a real treat for everyone watching on TNA Plus or YouTube because he's great. He is brilliant. Nick did tease trying to get involved in this match as well. He did try his best, bless him. Did Nick Nemeth, but it was a spiral tap from Zachary Wentz that put Ryan Nemeth away. And that is quite an important win heading into Slammiversary for the four-way ladder match that's going to be happening. Oh my goodness. You can just imagine that is going to be crazy at Slammiversary for the TNA World Tag Team Champions. Really looking forward to that with the Hardys in there as well. It's just going to be nuts. It is going to be crazy. But a big win here for Zachary Wentz. And, they did tease, and MS did tease getting involved with the championships at the end of this as well. But not on this occasion. But a fantastic way to start show. Like I said, the match was a little short. But what they done in that period of time was enough for me to really enjoy watching it. And more of Zachary Wentz as a single. Well, say not more of Zachary Wentz as a single because we don't want to split the Rascals up. But at the same time, I'd like to see him get in there on his own with a few others as well. So hopefully that will happen along the line. Trick Williams, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, was next as Cup of Joe in the morning. Sorry. And, you know, he was sort of being a cocky to Gia Miller, asking if she thinks he didn't look ready, and he stopped her in the middle of the answer because he said it was a trick question. There you go. Um, he put over Joe Hendry though for still having heart, but he has to kick it out. He then focused his attention to the street fight featuring AJ Francis and his Mike Santana and his good friend, shall we say, AJ Francis, and he reckons that AJ Francis will beat Mike Santana. And well, I, I don't think he will, to be quite honest, but we'll get into that in a minute. But Trick Williams obviously got things on his mind heading into Slammiversary, and he's got a Joe Hendry problem, and he may have another problem into Slammiversary as well. Masha was next, and she was talking about her title defense next week. Actually, she did invite Killer Kelly into the ring for a chat, but Ariana Grace showed up and with a proposal of her own. She seemed pretty excited to show Masha Slamovich what she's got in store for the champion. I'm not so sure. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about that. Masha and Killer Kato should tear the roof off next week. Should be a great show next week with Masha and Killer. And this is a good opportunity for me to tell you that you can watch that match next week on the TNA Plus app. You got to get it downloaded, get it subscribed, and make sure you're subscribed to at least one of the packages on there so you can watch TNA Impact. My recommendation, though, is that heavyweight package where you will be able to watch Impact every week. You'll be able to watch Slammiversary and all the other special shows and go through the archives and watch TNA legends, AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, Samoa Joe, and more. Speaking of knockouts, we've already had the champion and challenger for next week's show. Now we move to the Knockouts Battle Royal. Now the winner of this will get a future Knockouts Championship match. And every knockout was in there. It was I tell you what, this was fun. All right. And this is I tell you, what's like it's always difficult to review rumbles or battle royals because they're always flying all around everywhere. It's sort of so much going on, you lose track of everything. But this was a fun knockouts battle royal. I really enjoyed this. At one point in this, Ash may have looked like she was eliminated, but she wasn't. Ash by Elegance, that is. And I tell you what, it was the aforementioned Ash by Elegance that for me picked up a surprise victory because the last couple remaining was Indy Hartwell and Tasha Steeles. I thought Indy Hartwell was going to win this. I thought this had Indy Hartwell written all over it, and it would be the start to her climb for the Knockouts Championship. However, Ash by Elegance eliminated both Indy Hartwell and Tasha Steeles to win the Knockouts Battle Royal and thus get the opportunity for a Knockouts Championship match later on down the line. That is a huge win. Now, here's the thing on this. I didn't think about Ash by Elegance winning the Knockouts Championship this year. I didn't believe it was going to happen. It wasn't on my to-do. I've, to be honest, I've always bigged Ash by Elegance up because I think she's been great coming over to TNA. She's had those a few opportunities at the Knockouts Championship before when Jordan Grace was champion, but now she's got an opportunity that she's earned this way because the last few times she didn't really earn, necessarily earn the opportunity. It was given to her. This is now an opportunity that she has earned on her own. I don't know now. I just think Ash by Elegance, it could be her time. Whether it's Masha Slamovich, whether it's Killer Kelly, or somewhere, someone else down the line. But Ash by Elegance could be TNA Knockouts Championship champion, sorry, and it would be so deserved because of the work that she's done, the hard work that she's done on this. I think it's tremendous. I really, really do. Ash has got an opportunity. Let's see what happens with it. But that wasn't all on this. Oh, no, no, no. See, Masha shows up to confront Ash, but the NXT Women's Champion, JC Jane, shows up as well during that confrontation. What has she got planned for Masha? That this is, it's not the first time JC Jane done some great work down in TNA earlier on in the year, and now she was rewarded with the Knockouts Championship, with the NXT Championship. And now she's back. What has she got on her mind? What is JC Jane going to be doing here at TNA? And perhaps Masha Slamovich is in her sights. We'll have to wait and see. This is a really interesting time for Masha as Knockout Championship. Her big match next week. She's got Ash. Well, whoever wins that will have Ash. And now JC Jane as well, sticking her nose into the business of the Knockouts Champion. It's gonna be fun and games. I'm really intrigued to see what's next with JC Jane and co on TNA. But a great outing for the Knockouts, a great showing this week as well. And big congratulations to Ash for winning that opportunity. And I'm really happy for her, to be fair. I really think that she deserves that opportunity. She does deserve to win the Knockouts Championship. I'm not going to lie. Will she? Not sure, but possibly. I think she was on that list of that top 10 list. By the way, the top 10 Knockouts Championship list. That's a good thing. I think it was already out. It is not. This next Monday on the channel, have a look down at the Chat GPT predictions that we get done. Because next Monday, not this Monday coming, the following Monday, we're going to have the top 10 Knockouts Championships, the Chat GPT to predict those top 10 Knockouts Championships. And if champions, sorry. And if I'm right, I believe Ash is on that list. Check it out when it's out in a couple of weeks. You can check out some TNA interviews that we've done on the channel as well. Go into the playlist option, look at special guest interviews. There's over 200 interviews on there, but you will see Moose, Eddie Edwards, The System. That was Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers. So we had Eddie Edwards on his own. The Decay are on there. We had Raj Singh was on there as well. A couple of former TNA stars, Mike Bailey and Alex Hammerstone, are on there as well, as are the Nemeth brothers as well, Steve Macklin, Moose, and Jake Something. See what I did there? Because straight after that knockout stuff was a little promo with Jake Something himself, who returned last week, if you remember, to TNA. And he saved Tommy Dreamer from Mence Warner. And he also partnered. No, he retained. He returned last week. Mence Warner was going to beat up Tommy Dreamer. Out come Jake something. Um, he wants to take some frustration out on Mence Warner, but he also has got his eyes on the international championship held by Steve Macklin, which actually brought Macklin to this interview. He congratulated Jake Something on his return to TNA, but Steve Macklin and Jake Something could be something special on TNA. I would love to see that. I would also like to see Jake Something and Mence Warner lock it up after last week. Mence is a crazy, or Mance is a crazy motherfucker. And that would be an incredible thing to see. But I'm intrigued to see if Jake Something does get an opportunity down the line with the international champion, Steve Macklin. Some sad news to report. They did do an injury report on TNA, and it was surrounding and regarding Elijah on NXT. Elijah, I believe, tore his tricep, or he done something to a bicep or tricep, and he's had surgery on this. There's been a lot of injuries quite recently, not necessarily in TNA, but around wrestling. Of course, we wish Elijah all the very best, and hope that he's back in action as soon as possible, that he heals up and he gets back in there, because we need more Elijah in our lives. We need to walk with Elijah again very, very soon, and hopefully we will on TNA. You know, these things happen in wrestling, but yeah, it's a shame. So call to arms time. We have seen tension in all the four over the last few weeks on TNA, which has led to this. This was John Schuyler. This was Ali. Last week they got into it a little bit. It was the match that was made. Sorry, called at arms. I'm just getting up my notes. Apologies. It was these two. I have to say these two put on a great match. It was a great back and forth match, and again, where you see the great hands as a tag team, you don't always see him singly. It was great to see Skylar as a single, because he's got I think he's brilliant as a single wrestler. He's also just re-signed with TNA Wrestling, which is great news for him as well. It, just to see these two, they've got great chemistry in the ring as well. It was a great match. I thoroughly enjoyed this contest. Ali picks up the win though, with the 450 splash, but oh boy, it doesn't end there. Ali goes out and grabs a chair. At this point, at the end of the match, Jason Hotch tries to talk some sense into him. Ali puts the chair down at that point, and you're thinking, okay, cool. Pushes Hotch uh, down into the post, sorry. And as Ali's about to hit Skylar with the chair, Tasha Steelz gets in the way. So then Ali hesitates before quickly snapping out of it. And he's about to take out Tasha Steelz. Now, if you remember last week, Ali kept saying to Tasha Steelz, you've been calling him, you've been speaking to him. As Ali is about to hit Tasha, music plays on the ramp, and out comes Cedric Alexander, recently released from the WWE, singly one of the best pound for pound wrestlers that's in the game, honestly. Um, he walks down to the ring and he tries to talk some sense into Ali as well, but Ali he tries to leave with Steels. As he does that, Cedric takes a hand. Ali tries to stand up to Cedric, but Hotch and Skylar stand in his way, and Ali exits the ring at this point. But Cedric Alexander in TNA Wrestling, I tell you what, that is the big story that come out of this call to arms match. If you remember in WWE, they had a thing called 205 Live, which was basically a cruiserweight show that would air on a WWE network. Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali absolutely tore that division up. when they were going against each other in 205 Live. You need to check it out if you ever see it. If these guys are going to run it back at Slammiversary, I don't care who you are, you pay that money, you'll get onto that TNA Plus app. You will download it, subscribe it, you'll get the championship package, or you'll go to wherever TNA are putting on that show and you will buy it because it is worth the money alone. Absolutely worth that money alone in TNA wrestling. It's going to be a tremendous match if they run that back, especially at Slammiversary. But Cedric Alexander, what a pickup from TNA wrestling. That is could be one of the best in 2025 pickups, to be quite honest with you. He is tremendous. He's got a story already to go in there with. You're going to put him in there potentially with Ali, who's a guy that who's a guy I've just said that have tore it up in WWE before. This is great. X Division Alexander this is brilliant. The matches that he could have in TNA it is going to be outrageous, and I can't wait to see Cedric Alexander. So welcome to the Impact Zone, Cedric Alexander. Moving on. The System were backstage. Moose was talking about his upcoming X Division match with England's own Leon Slater, which of course Leon's going to win. Sorry, Moose. Matt Cardona showed his face again. And he tries to talk to Brian Myers. We've seen this before. Myers and Cardona was a team for a very, very long time. Best friends. Matt was attacked and by the System last week. Myers didn't get involved. So he's trying to talk to Brian Myers, but Eddie Edwards took exception. Gets in Cardona's face and says, "Bet you face me next week on Impact." Cardona agrees. The System walk off, but not before another face-off between Cardona and Myers. Are we gonna get Cardona and Myers in TNA as a team? I'd love that. I think it would be great. That would be fantastic to see them in action together again in TNA wrestling. But next week, on the other hand, it is going to be Matt Cardona against Brian Myers' tag team partner Eddie Edwards. What a great tag match we had next, guys. The Hardys versus the Northern Armory. Travis Williams, Judas Icarius. This was great because it was kind of like, I don't want to say student and teacher because Hardy's never trained them, but it had that kind of feel to it on the tag match. It was really, really good. These two, I mean, again, it gave Icarius and Travis Williams an opportunity to take on probably the best tag team in the world in this. And this was a really fun match. And it did give Icarius and Williams the chance to shine and showcase their talents against that legendary tag team. And they absolutely did in this match. I do still think, though, on slight side of this, Eric Young, there's no one that plays that maniac unlike him. I think it's absolutely brilliant. However, of course, the Northern Armory come up a bit short this time out against the Hardys. Jeff hit the Swanton bomb on Icarius for the victory. But that wasn't all. They called out Leon Slater. They put him over. They want him to become the youngest X Division champion at Slammiversary. And, Leon took the mic. He said that, I'm doing this for you guys. I want to make you guys proud. I want to make my family proud. And then he said, I'm going to go over there and join Hanifan and Raywold on commentary because Moose was in action next. And he took on Shane Saber and Jake Painter. You can gather where I'm going with this. This didn't last long. Moose just absolutely annihilated. He hit Jake Painter with the spear for the victory. He did begin taunting Slater at the end of this by assaulting Jake Painter. Slater gets in the ring. We had a stare off with the champion and challenger. I've got this feeling, right, that this match is going to be incredible, to be honest. But to be honest, when I'm talking about incredible, Moose's X Division run has probably been one of the greatest since Samoa Joe's X Division run. And that isn't me being over exaggerating. I truly believe he has been incredible as this. He's now the longest reigning X Division champion. I believe that's coming to an end at Slammiversary, and I think Leon will become the youngest X Division champion going. But Moose's title reign, regardless of anything, has been absolutely brilliant. And I really, really have enjoyed it. And he's proved so many people wrong, I think, with this. And it's been a delight to watch. It really, really has. Speaking of delights to watch, we're at the main event. It's Mike Santana. It's AJ Francis in a street fight. I am telling you now, guys, there's been so many great matches on TNA television. This may well be the best. I don't know. There's an argument for this. It is definitely one of the best Impact main events of the year, without shadow of a doubt. Once again, though, and I always come on here and say how good AJ Francis is, and people, he's still a controversial take in a lot of people's minds. But I'm telling you now, AJ Francis is an absolute, well, he's absolutely brilliant. He hit a Styles clash on Santana during this as well. You know, it was quite, I loved Hanny fan on mic on the mic on the commentary for this, saying it was sacrilege of him doing it as well. But it was brilliant. Like, Santana smashed something on bottle over his head during this was, as I said, I don't think I've seen a better match on TNA Impact in 2025. It's up there. If it's not the best, it's up there, and there's no argument about that. Um, the blue chipper, though, Mike Santana picks up the win with spin the block, and then he cut just to go after that match to finish that match off, and then the promo that Santana cuts at the end of this, saying about how he sweat, clawed, and bled to be where he's at today. They said they don't call him the standard of TNA for nothing. And he has asked Santino Marella to be inserted into the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match at Slammiversary. Slammiversary, TNA. Could have Joe Hendry, it could be also Mike Santana in there with Trick Williams. I think Santino should make that official. And if he does, Santana should go over and become TNA champion. But I tell you what, this was quite possibly one of the best Impact Wrestlings of the year. Again, I just wish in a bit, right? And it wasn't a hit on last week's show. Last week's show was fun, but in terms of an anniversary show, this would have been far better to have on instead of what we saw last week. But nevertheless, it was a fun show last week. But um, we had everything here. The ultra violent main event in the street fight. We had, the Joe Hendry bit. We had the surprise of Cedric Alexander. Hardys are always great. The Northern Armory show what they can do there. Zachary Wentz was fantastic in singles action. We had a great call to arms match as well. Slammiversary is shaping up to be one of the biggest Slammiversaries that TNA have put on. I cannot wait for it on July the 20th. And once again, one more plug for this. If you haven't got TNA Plus, what are you doing? Go and get it downloaded, get it subscribed. As I said, if you just want to watch Impact every week, you can get the basic package. But if you want everything else, like Slammiversary, like the archives, get yourself a championship package, folks, because you are seriously missing out on some amazing TNA action. Coming up on the channel, we've got some more interviews. Pretty Boy Smooth. We've got Wolfgang. That was a little bit of a Wolfgang one. Unfortunately, at the end of that interview, had some power outages over in Florida, so it's not going to be the greatest of endings to that interview. But he was great to have on. Say Pretty Boy Smooth was great from the NWA. Coming up on the channel though, a former wrestler in TNA and is now the holder of the 10 pounds of gold in the NWA going into NWA 77. That man is, well, you may know him in TNA as Bram, but we know him as Thomas Latimer. He's coming up on the show next week as part of our NWA 100 special. Lots more stuff coming on the show. Chat GPT's back next week with the prediction, I think, of the next 10 Intercontinental champions. on here. So don't forget to see that. Keep it locked, sorry, onto our on our socials at HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media outlets. We'll be back a little bit, probably maybe tonight with a SmackDown review. I've got to see what time that's on. We'll also be back with a Night of Champions review as well. But until then, everybody, you've been watching the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with me, Adam Cousins. And until next time, everybody, cross the line and stay safe.